How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today is another fantastic day. I have got my hands on the brand new iPhone 16 Pro. Now, when I first started my journey on my YouTube channel, I have been using an iPhone 10 to do all my recording. Now, since then, I have upgraded to the newer iPhones, and then now I'm recording on a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Now, this is the iPhone 10. This has served me and the missus very, very well. But this phone was released back in 2017. And back then it was a game changer because obviously not only was it the first iPhone to have Face ID, it was a whole new change in terms of how the iPhone looked. So it was leaps and bounds from in terms of changes. But like I say, it was released back in 2017. So that's what, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we're in 2025 now. So that's 8 years difference. As you can tell, it's taken a battering. Obviously, it doesn't even last a full day in terms of battery wise. Hence why there's a charger constantly attached to it. Even when we're on the phone using the iPhone 10, it doesn't even last half an hour. The battery's dead. The iPhone 10 is so ancient now that you can't even buy in Apple stores anymore. And the quality of it in terms of recording and pictures isn't the greatest anymore. And not only that, the battery's degraded. I've changed the screens on it a few times. I mean, it still feels really nice to hold. That's one thing I would say. And it also looks really nice as well. So we went with this kind of a silver, kind of a white color. The screen to phone ratio isn't obviously the best. Because obviously now that you look at it, there's a lot more borders on here. What I'm going to be doing in this video today, I'm going to be unboxing the brand new iPhone 16 Pro. And I'm also going to be doing a quick comparison between the two phones, which is the iPhone 10 and then the iPhone 16 Pro. Let's get this brand new iPhone 16 unboxed and let's see what you get inside. I'm so excited to get this opened because I love Apple products and I can't wait to get this opened. Even though this phone isn't for me, it's for the missus, I still am just as excited to have it in my hands. Let's get the ASMR sound. Ta-da! So we went for the desert titanium color, as you can see. It looks so nice and pretty. Oh, look at the sides. Okay, let's take this off. Again, let's hear that glorious sound. I don't know if you heard that. But I've got to say the titanium finish looks really nice. Especially the borders on this phone. It just makes the gold stand out. Now just to give you guys a bit of context. This, like I said, this isn't my phone. This is the missus' phone. And I didn't upgrade my phone. So my phone is the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And I didn't upgrade to the 16 only because I don't see much of a difference, to be fair, from my phone. Everything else is just pretty much the same. Obviously, my wife definitely needed to upgrade. So hence why for her, it's a massive leap in terms of upgrading. But for me, nah, maybe next year. Let's see. But I've got to say, the color of this phone looks really nice. Compared to the iPhone 14 Pro, which is my phone, it feels nice to hold. Because the edges are rounded off compared to mine, which is a bit more sharper in terms of the edges. Don't know if you can see that. So it feels a lot nicer to hold. Now the iPhone 16 comes with the USB-C charger, whereas mine is still rocking the lightning cable. So on the side you get the power button, and then you also get a new button here, which is the camera button, or to quick start the camera. I'm not sure if you can customize this to whatever you want at the moment, but if not, Apple should really think about that. And obviously you've got the action button here as well. You can customize this one to whatever button you want. And then you've also got the volume buttons here as well. Also, obviously, with the 16, you've obviously got the much hyped Apple AI. Not sure if the missus is going to be using it much, but it's good to know it's there. And if I ever want to use it, I can just snatch the phone off the missus and just use it myself. Pretty much everything else is the same. But yeah, so that's the iPhone. Also in the box, you get a really nice, so you'll get a really nice braided cable. It's USB to USB. Cables are definitely better. This is going to be great because we have issues with cables in this house. Our cables just keep snapping. To be fair, I can show you right now. Here's an example of our cable, which I'm currently using at the moment. We usually get through a couple of cables within a few months, and this is dying already. So braided cable is definitely a win. Thank you, Apple. Okay, what else you get in the box? You get a different kind of paper layout now than what it used to be. It's shrunk in size. So here's the user manual that no one ever reads. Got it that there's no stickers that you usually get with the Apple iPhones. You also get this little SIM tray opener as well. Yeah, I mean, that's it pretty much that you get from this box. Nothing else inside it. Okay, so let's boot the new iPhone 16 up. I feel like the iPhone 10 is more nicer to hold than the iPhone 16 Pro, to be fair, because the edges are all rounded rather than this. It's square and then it's rounded. Okay, so you get your normal standard iPhone hello in various different languages. So let's select English.
And it's such a breeze to transfer data from one phone to the other.
Now obviously it's telling me about the kind of new action button. And obviously, like I said, this comes with Apple Intelligence. And a brand new feature on this is obviously the camera control, which is this new button here. Now it's transferring all the data from the old outdated iPhone 10. So while that's transferring some of the data, let's do a quick little comparison. iPhone 16 Pro is bounds and leaps better than obviously the iPhone 11 in all aspects. So in terms of specs, obviously the iPhone 10, like I said, was released in November 2017. The iPhone 16 was only really released quite recently in September 2024. Screen size, iPhone 10 is 5.8 inches. The iPhone 16 Pro is 6.3 inches. And the iPhone 10 has an aspect ratio of 2436 by 1125. Whereas the iPhone 16 Pro has 2622 by 1206. The main camera on the iPhone 10 has a 12 megapixel main camera, whereas the 16 Pro has a whopping 48 megapixel main camera. So that's a massive difference. And the selfie camera is a measly 7 megapixel camera, whereas the beastly iPhone 16 Pro is a 12 megapixel camera. Internals, obviously the iPhone 10 has a 3 gig of RAM, and it's a 256 gigabyte, whereas the 16 Pro has an 8 gigabyte RAM and it starts from 128 gig. And like I said, this is a 256 gigabyte. Battery wise, well, the battery wise doesn't really matter anymore because it claims it's 2716 milliamps, which did last, but now, like I said, doesn't even last half a day. Forget even half a day, a quarter of a day doesn't even last. Whereas the iPhone 16 Pro battery is 3582 milliamps. The battery alone will make her happy, to be fair. Both these phones are rocking OLED technology, so OLED screens. The only major difference to the screen is obviously the iPhone 16 Pro has a 120 Hz refresh rate, whereas the 10 has a 60 Hz. In terms of screen to body ratio, it is 82.35 for the iPhone 10 and 91.4% for the iPhone 16 Pro. Peak brightness is 625 nits for the iPhone 10 and 2000 nits for the 16 Pro. Some of the main features on the iPhone 10 is obviously it supports HDR, pressure sensitive oleophobic coating, scratch resistant glass, ambient light sensor and proximity sensor. And then the iPhone 16 Pro is rocking the Super Retina XDR, HDR support. It also supports oleophobic coating, scratch resistant glass, which obviously is a ceramic shield. We've also got the ambient light sensor and also the proximity sensor as well. Now obviously that doesn't seem like there's a massive difference, but the Super Retina XDR display and obviously the ceramic shield makes a huge difference in terms of the main feature of the screen itself. So the system chip itself, the Apple has a A11 Bionic. I mean, back then when the iPhone 10 was released, that it was leaps and gains in terms of what it can do with other, in compared to obviously the other Android phones. Obviously now 16 Pro has got the A18 Pro. Obviously the GPU is Apple 3-core GPU for the iPhone 10, and iPhone 16 Pro has got the Apple 6-core GPU. Unfortunately, with the OS, with the operating system, the iPhone 10 doesn't support iOS 18. I believe they stopped at iOS 11, I think. But obviously there are a few updates now and then, but I believe they are completely going to stop updating the iPhone 10. I think it's in 2024. So yeah, it's definitely time for an upgrade. Both phones do support QI wireless charging. Obviously the iPhone 16 Pro supports fast charging, and it also supports reverse wire charging, and it also has MagSafe wireless charging as well. Like I said, in terms of battery test, the iPhone 11 is dismal. Obviously the 16 Pro will support better battery life. I'm hoping this battery lasts more than a day. It claims it can support up to about just over 16 hours of just browsing. So that is already a massive upgrade. So the main things obviously is what this phone is going to be used for, which is obviously the camera. The iPhone 10 supports dual camera, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro supports triple camera. And obviously the third camera supports 48 megapixel ultra wide, whereas the iPhone 10 doesn't support that. In terms of recording, both phones do record at 4K. Obviously the iPhone 10 supports at 60 frames per second, whereas the 16 Pro supports up to 120 frames per second. And also the iPhone 16 Pro supports Vision HDR, ProRes and cinematic mode as well, whereas the iPhone 10 does not. As the materials used, both phones are glass in terms of the back. Frames are, the iPhone 10 is a stainless steel, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro is the all new titanium. Resistance is obviously water and dust IP67 for the iPhone 10, and water and dust IP68 for the iPhone 16 Pro. And obviously both phones support Face ID unlock. In terms of storage, the iPhone 10 starts from 64 gig and goes up to 512, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro starts with 256 and goes all the way up to a massive 1 terabyte. But that is it pretty much in terms of the main qualities of both of these phones. I mean, both phones respectively are good in their own way. Obviously, this is still a fantastic phone. Obviously, all it needs is just a battery change, and you know, it'd be a very good budget phone to use. But obviously, if you're looking for that pro quality and pro recording and pro features, then obviously you would go with the iPhone 16. It does cost a little bit more, but obviously you do get more buck for your money. You don't get much support with the iPhone 10 anymore. Eventually they will stop supporting it completely. So then you would have to obviously look to upgrade anyway. Phone is still transferring its data, but what I will say is the iPhone 10 has served me so well. It's not just served me, it's served the missus as well. It's taken some great pictures, captured some great moments, and you know, it's kind of sad for me to let this go completely. I knew that when I let this go, I'm going to be passing the torch. I'm going to be passing this magnificent phone to the partner for her to use. But now it's going to become redundant now for me not to use anymore, which is a bit sad to be fair, because this phone is the phone that started my whole YouTube journey. And you know, I'm not going to be seeing anymore. Maybe my kids will use it. Who knows? They've still got a few years for them to even have a phone. I mean, this iPhone 16 Pro is definitely a worthwhile phone if you're upgrading from a very old phone like the iPhone 10. Personally, I don't feel it's worth the upgrade from the iPhone 14 Pro Max that I've got. Maybe the next year phone will entice me. I'm not a big fan of this camera button with the camera button here. I don't think I'll use it. I don't see any problem by pressing this camera button here and just launching the camera through there. I think Apple are struggling to find the next big thing in terms of how they can upgrade the iPhone, hence why they've put this button slash camera button on the side. Don't feel many people are going to use. I'm also thinking of changing my YouTube name to something completely different. Possibly having my name in there, maybe not. So let me know your suggestions down below in the comments and I'll pick out the best one. But that is everything from me, guys. Hope you guys did like this comparison of the brand new 16 Pro and the iPhone 10. If you did, make sure that you do like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.